Welcome back, everyone. Ready for another deep dive? This time, we're turning our attention skyward to something truly awe-inspiring. China's Tiangong Space Station.
Yeah, it's been making headlines, and for good reason.
Right. It's one thing to see the pictures, but we're going beyond that today. We're going deeper into what makes Tiangong so remarkable.
It's a fascinating story, a true testament to how far China has come in space exploration.
Exactly. So let's start with the basics, for anyone who needs a little refresher. What exactly is Tiangong?
In a nutshell, Tiangong is China's own space station, and it's permanently crewed. That's a key difference from those earlier missions.
Ah, so more like a continuous presence in space, not
Mhm.
just quick trips up and back.
Exactly. It's designed for long-term research and exploration. Think of it as China's counterpart to the International Space Station.
Okay, got it. A space station all their own. That's impressive. But even the name Tiangong sounds kind of, I don't know, majestic. What's the story there?
It's a very deliberate choice, and it's quite beautiful, actually. Tiangong translates to heavenly palace.
Wow, Heavenly Palace. That's pretty spot on.
It really captures the essence of what China's aiming for, this grand vision of their place in space.
So it's not just a science project, it's a statement.
Exactly. And it's interesting, they've been using these really evocative names for their space program lately. Like their moon probes, they name them Chang'e.
Wait, like the moon goddess changey.
Precisely. It's like they're weaving this rich tapestry of their mythology and culture into their space exploration efforts. Adds a whole other dimension, don't you think?
Definitely. It's like their ancient stories are coming to life up there in the cosmos. Okay, so we've got this heavenly palace, but it's not like they just sent it up all in one go, right? How do you even begin to build something that massive in space?
Well, it's been a fascinating journey, actually. They've taken a very deliberate step-by-step approach.
Ah, so it wasn't just like rocket goes up, space station pops out.
Not quite.
Yeah.
It all started with Tiangong 1 and 2.
Those were.
Think of them as stepping stones. Space labs sent up to test the waters, so to speak, to work out the kinks and gain valuable experience.
Sort of like practice runs before the main event.
Exactly. And now they've transitioned to this multi-module space station. It's a whole different ballgame.
Multi-module. So it's like putting together a giant Lego set in space.
In a way, yes. They build these individual modules here on Earth and launch them separately.
Wow, so they're sending up pieces of a space station. That's wild.
It is incredible. And then in orbit, they use robotic arms and a lot of very precise maneuvering to connect them all together.
Hold on, robotic arms, like something out of a sci-fi movie.
Oh, absolutely.
Well,
They have this incredible robotic arm, actually, called the Chine arm, and it's been instrumental in the assembly process. They've also got these smaller, really dexterous robot arms for those more intricate tasks.
wow, that's next level engineering right there.
Yeah.
So it's a real testament to their technological capabilities.
Absolutely. And remember, this modular approach is different from how, say, the International Space Station was built.
Oh, how so?
The ISS involved a lot more assembly in space itself. Astronauts had to do multiple spacewalks to piece it together. Tiangong's design is actually more similar to how the Russians built their Mir space station back in the day.
Interesting. So China's really forging its own path here.
You got it. They're not just copying what others have done. They're innovating and showing the world what they're capable of.
Okay, I have to ask,
Ah.
what's it like to actually live on this high-tech marvel? I mean, are we talking like space dorm rooms, or is it more luxurious than that?
Well, it's no Space Hilton, but it's surprisingly comfortable considering you're orbiting Earth at over 17,000 miles per hour.
I can't even imagine. What kind of amenities do they have up there?
Well, they've got sleeping berths for 3 crew members, a toilet, of course, a shower, which is pretty essential when you're on a long mission, and they even have a gym to help combat the effects of microgravity on the human body.
Wow, a gym in space. Talk about a workout with a view. But it's not all work and no play, right?
Right. And you know what else they have on Tiangong that might surprise you?
What's that?
A microwave.
A microwave. Seriously. In space.
Yep. First one ever, actually.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
No more just rehydrating those space food pouches, I guess.
You know it. The astronauts get to enjoy some actually heated up meals now. It's pretty incredible how far space food has come, even from just a few years ago.
Speaking of, what are they eating up there these days? Anything good?
They have quite the menu now, actually. Even some Earthbound favorites, made for space.
Yeah.
Kung Pao chicken.
Get out. Space Kung Pao chicken.
Yeah. And fresh produce, too. They've been experimenting with growing things right there on the station.
Wow. Space Kung Pao chicken and a salad. Sign me up. But seriously, that's amazing. All these creature comforts, the tech, it's all to support some pretty groundbreaking science, right? What are they actually doing up there on Tiangong?
That's the real beauty of it. Tiangong is more than just a home away from home. It's a state-of-the-art research lab.
So what kind of research are we talking about? What's got scientists buzzing?
One of the really fascinating areas is microgravity agriculture. They've actually been able to grow rice up there. And another plant, Arabidopsis thaliana.
Arabidopsis, say that again?
Arabidopsis thaliana. It's a small flowering plant. Scientists use it a lot in research.
Okay, and why that one in particular?
It's a model organism. Grows quickly, simple genetic, so it makes it easier to study in different environments.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
So space rice, space flowers. What's the bigger picture here?
Well, the ultimate goal is to figure out how to create sustainable food sources for those really long space missions. Imagine a trip to Mars, and the astronauts are growing their own food along the way.
Wow, that's incredible. Okay, so from space farms to what else? What other research is going on up there?
They're doing some really groundbreaking work in fundamental physics, too. Things like cold atom experiments.
Old Adam. What now?
So basically, they're creating these ultra-low temperatures, almost absolute zero, to study how atoms behave in microgravity.
Okay, and why go all the way to space to do that?
Because microgravity allows for measurements and observations that just aren't possible here on Earth. It's giving us incredible insights into quantum mechanics, maybe even gravity itself.
Now that is some seriously cool science. Unlocking the secrets of the universe, all from a space station. But we can't talk about Tiangong without addressing the elephant in the room. There's a lot of political tension in the world today. So how open is China to collaboration on this project? Is it all happening behind closed doors?
It's a great question and an important one. And it speaks to the bigger picture of what Tiangong represents. But actually, China has been surprisingly open to international collaboration on the station. They've already got countries like France and Sweden involved, even Russia.
Oh, wow. I didn't realize it was already happening at that level.
It's been interesting to see. There was a lot of initial interest from the European Space Agency, too.
Really? Like what?
Well, they had set up a whole astronaut training program with China, even.
Oh, wow. So what happened?
Unfortunately, they pulled out of the program recently, cited political and financial reasons, which is a shame, really. It could have been a huge opportunity for scientific advancement to have everyone working together.
A real missed opportunity. But it's not all bad news on the collaboration front, right? There's still some international cooperation going on.
Right. There's this really cool initiative led by the UN that's currently underway. They've selected 9 international experiments out of 42 proposals to be conducted on Tiangong.
See, that's what I like to hear. So despite any political hurdles, the global scientific community is still eager to be a part of this.
Absolutely.
Okay, so we've got international experiments happening, but what about sending foreign astronauts up to Tiangong? Is that something they're considering?
From what they've said, it sounds like it's more a matter of when, not if. They've even opened up their astronaut selection process to include candidates from Hong Kong and Macau, actually, which is interesting.
Wow. It really seems like Tiangong is about more than just space exploration. It's this whole other arena for international relations, too. It's a real symbol of China's growing presence on the world stage, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. And how that all unfolds in the coming years will be fascinating to watch.
Agreed. So looking forward, what's the plan for Tiangong? How long will it be up there? And does China have, say, any upgrades in the works?
Right now, the planned lifespan is 10 years, but they're already talking about extending it to 15. And upgrades, oh yeah, they've got big plans. Right now, it can hold a crew of 3, but they can bump that up to 6 if they need to. And get this, they're adding a whole new core module, too.
Wow, so Tiangong's about to get even bigger and better. That's wild.
And that's not all. This is where it gets really exciting. They're launching a space telescope, too. It's called Zhentian.
Hold on, their own space telescope, like a Chinese Hubble. Tell me more.
It's going to be a game changer. Zhentian's set to launch in 2026 and will work in tandem with Tiangong.
Wow, so what makes it so special?
Well, it'll be co-orbiting with the station, but it won't be directly attached.
Co-orbiting but not attached, so it's like its own separate entity?
Exactly. It'll fly in formation with Tiangong.
That's really interesting. So how will they even work together if they're not physically connected?
Well, it's not totally independent. Zhentian will actually dock with Tiangong periodically.
Ah, okay. So I guess for maintenance and things like that.
Exactly. For refueling, upgrades, any repairs that need to be done.
That is so clever. I mean, it's brilliant. They can service the telescope without having to bring it all the way back down to Earth.
Right, it's much more efficient. And it means they can keep Sinsin operational for longer, maybe even extend its lifespan, just like they're hoping to do with Tiangong itself.
It's really incredible when you think about all the planning and coordination that goes into something like this. I mean, talk about ambitious, but it seems like it's paying off for them.
I'd say so. They're really pushing the boundaries of what's possible in space.
They are. So we've covered a lot of ground today. We've talked about the design of Tiangong, the science, the international aspects. It's a pretty amazing story.
Hmm.
But I'm curious, for you, what's the biggest takeaway here? Where does Tiangong fit into the grand scheme of space exploration?
It's a great question, and honestly, I think Tiangong is a real turning point. It's more than just a space station. It's a symbol of China's rise as a global power in space.
It's a real statement, like, we're here and we're a force to be reckoned with.
Exactly. They're not just participating anymore, they're leading. And it really begs the question, what does this mean for the future of space exploration? Will we see more cooperation or more competition?
It's an exciting time, that's for sure. And honestly, a little bit unnerving too, right? Like, where does it all lead? That's a conversation for a whole other deep dive, I think.
Yeah.
But you've given us so much to think about already. Any final thoughts for our listeners before we wrap up? Something to ponder as they gaze up to the stars tonight.
Well, I guess I would just leave them with this thought. As Tiangong continues to orbit our planet, it's a good reminder that we're not just passive observers in space. We are active participants in shaping the future of space exploration. Every launch, every experiment, it all contributes to writing the next chapter of this incredible human story.
Beautifully said. It's a story that's still being written, and it's one that belongs to all of us. Well, thank you so much for taking us on this journey today. It's been absolutely fascinating.
My pleasure. Always happy to talk about space.
And to our listeners, as always, thank you for joining us on another deep dive. Keep looking up, keep asking questions, and we'll catch you next time.